What do you think is the secret to developing a game that stands out in 2024 now?
You need to find the opportunity, which is the mix of different maybe genres, but not only genres, but also technologies, art styles.
Do you feel like people in the gaming industry have kind of forgotten about the joy of what the game's going to do and they obsess too much about money?
It's a kind of red line that you need to be very careful. Every month you are burning money. Let's try to start some side project, maybe a little or a small work for hire, because then a publisher or investor come to you and they say, oh, but you are only 8 people. You cannot handle it. It's impossible. Bye-bye.
You mentioned before we started recording, you had loads of disaster stories and then successes as well. So I'm just going to ask you the big question, like what is the biggest disaster that happened and how did you overcome it?
Oh, it's not easy to select the biggest disaster. If you have one marketing plan and one of the versions is not ready when it's needed to be ready, you are dead. You know what I mean? We were very, very, very affected by COVID. We need to accept it. Okay, let's survive. Then we signed it, Russian publisher. You know what happened? Russia started the war with Ukraine. Oh no, yeah.
Ferran, welcome to the podcast. I want to start with how we met, which was 2 weeks ago. How did you find that party that we went to?
Oh, amazing. It was unexpected, to be honest. It was an incredible time. I went to Dubai with no too much expectations, invited as a speaker just to explain how we survived the last 7 years as an indie developer. But then I found a lot of contacts, a lot of people. First day was incredible. And then also the party and everything that you organized. So yeah, it was, incredible. So very well, very well.
Amazing. So let's start with, could you please tell us what do you do and what are you making at the Breach Studios? Let's paint a picture.
Of course. At this moment in the Breach Studios, I am the CEO, the guy for everything. So basically, when you are a CEO, you need to make everybody happy and do the commercial stuff. At this moment, after almost seven years, we founded the company in 2018. We are looking for a publisher right now or investor after these years where we did a lot of different stuff, work for hire, our own projects, etc. But we feel that now it's time to be more focused on our own IPs, and that's why we are looking for investors or publishers. And it's 80% of my work nowadays is talking with these companies and try to make a deal with them. But then, of course, everything related with the day-to-day of the company, it's also in my hands.
Loads of stuff to get into here. And that's not new to you, is it? Because you were the chief marketing officer before. Like, you wasn't a CEO of a previous company. So let's dive into like what happened before the breach that's led to you now being the CEO of this company that you recently raised $4 million, I guess, to date. And now we're looking for the final thing. So yeah, what's happened to Ferran before you got to this point?
I started in 1998, more or less, around 2000. I started organizing Starcraft championships or the first servers of Counter-Strike 1.6. So I was more in the eSports side of things, but at that time, the word eSports was not there in the market. So we were kind of pioneers in these championships, The CPL at that time, it was a cyber-athlete professional league. But then I started creating PC shops, the places with a lot of PCs. I started with one in Barcelona, and then we grew a lot to 25 places around Spain where the people could go and play. And it was amazing. During 6 years, it was a franchise that I sold. It was my first exit. It was amazing. And then I moved to development in 2006. Java games. We used to do the first Unity games. We worked for big brands banks or water institutions in Spain. So our own projects, but small indie projects, but then also work for hire for big brands. Then I founded a new company in 2011. It was amazing because it was Kerad Games. I was the CMO there, as you mentioned, but also one of the shareholders and co-founder with Gerard Piqué. Gerard Piqué used to be a former Football Club Barcelona player, and he was the investor and the president of this company. It was an amazing trip. During 7 years, we launched several games. The most successful one was called Golden Manager. We reached almost 100 million people with this game. It was incredible because it allowed us to grow the company from 10 people to almost 100. And we managed this game for 6 years in live ops. So we learned a lot about multiplayer live ops, And then finally in 2018, I decided to found the Bridge Studios after this amazing 6-7 years with Gerard and Kerad Games. And yes, it was my previous career in a very brief answer.
Yeah, and I find hearing you talk about it, it's gotten you a lot of skills that are very useful for what you're doing right now, because you got the marketing side, the esports, the promotion, and I've seen the game in person. It's like I can see how all of this is very useful to what you're doing right now. So, yeah, I want to ask you, like, what do you see the role of a CEO is? Because every CEO I talk to do different things, and hearing you say 80% of your time is on the commercial side now, like, what do you see is the role of the CEO?
We'll try to make a couple of sentences. The first one should be keep the company alive. It would be your first goal and motivation. Second one, make everybody happy. So you need the people to be happy in the company. At the end of the day, you are the first reference that they have. If you are not the first in the company, you need to be second. The first, it's preferable. And yes, hard work to be a mirror for the others, and trying to create a culture, because of course the culture is something that we do all together. But at the end of the day, you need to put the basis and the focus on what's a company. For example, in the Bridge Studios, I had a very clear idea, and again, it's because of my background. I used to be a lot of time in Finland. I love Finnish management. I used to work with Robio, do a lot of collaborations also with Supercell, this kind of companies. I did my studies. I did my master on video games in Aalto University in Helsinki. So I learned a lot about how these Nordic guys do things in the companies, and I love it. So here in Barcelona, the Bridge Studios is one company that has a lot of Nordic, smell, because it's very horizontal. Everybody has a word to say. Doesn't matter if you are some designer, you can have an opinion about game design, or doesn't matter if you are the 3D modeler. If you think that there is something that you can add value, please tell it. So we empower people to be very, very proactive in the company. And then, this flexi time that we have, you can start at 8 or at 10, doesn't matter. We try to do a lot of flexibility for people to have also a life out of the video games. And for example, I don't know, this is something that maybe in the future we can go for a 4-day week, a model that I guess will increase a lot the productivity. We have been talking with some companies with this model that they say they have increased 20% productivity. So this kind of approach and mindset, it's important to be defined, because then people can, I love it. Let's try it at least. Because if you are a small mid company and you try to compete with salaries, you cannot do it. You cannot pay like, I don't know, Scopely or Tilting Point or King or I don't know, whatever. So I guess the work of a CEO is survive, culture and make everybody happy. Yeah, I guess it's a good
I like
brief.
I like the brief. I like the brief. You mentioned before we started recording, you had loads of disaster stories and then successes as well. So I'm just going to ask you the big question: like, what is the biggest disaster that happened, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, it's not easy to select the biggest disaster because, to be honest, have been quite a lot of mistakes that we did in the past. From choosing wrong technologies to do something, that had a huge impact in the
Mm.
costs for the company. I remember uh, developing a mobile game, and we decided instead of using Unity to have one single development, we decided to do both, Android and iOS native developments. In our mindset was we can be, let's say, better in quality and good practices doing native, but then at the end of the day there is a big problem that it's both versions were in different stages, and you have one marketing plan. So if you have a one marketing plan and one of the versions is not ready when it's needed to be ready, you are dead. You know what I mean? So I try to empower a lot people to make things in, I don't know, if you don't want Unity, if you don't want Unreal. Now we are Unreal Engine company, but if you don't want that, maybe give a try to React. So try to do things one time because it has been very costly in the past. Other stuff that I can explain to you, maybe, when you do your studies, I studied economics, and it's very usual in companies to do the SWOT, the matrix, to know which are your strengths, your powers, and your weaknesses, whatever. But the menaces that you can find in the market and external sometimes are kind of difficult to have in consideration, because, for example, we were very, very, very affected by COVID. So it was crazy because at that time we had an investor. It was a company here in Spain, very focused on cinema. So they did series for Netflix. So it's a big company. But with the COVID, they stopped everything. So they couldn't do any kind of series, whatever. And of course, the first thing that they cut was video games, because it was not the main, for them was strategic, but not the main thing, the core business. So, okay, COVID, okay, we need to accept it. Okay, let's survive. Then we signed it, Russian publisher. You know what happened? Russia started the war with Ukraine. Of course, oh no, yeah. So it was like, it's not possible. I cannot do the SWOT and having this worldwide pandemic, wars. The next thing, it's zombies. Maybe I don't
Jinx
know,
it.
but
I don't want zombies.
yeah, maybe it's zombies. I don't know, but it was crazy because of the war, they had a lot of problems, blah blah blah, and they decided to cut all the companies invested, and we were one of them. So we were lucky because these guys were really good and they helped us. And we had the game at that time. It was July last year. So we had the game kind of 80% developed. So it was not that bad. So we survived again. The way we survived, because to be honest, last December, we were about to close because we had no more runaway. And suddenly we come back because it was incredible, because the same company that cut everything because of the war, they give us work for hire to make Fortnite maps with the creative, the UFN,
Amazing.
all these systems that you can create. Yeah. And it was a huge work for hire contract. So it was like, we are saved. Thanks God. So yeah, and thanks to this work for hire, now we have been developed more the game. So our game has both the single player and the multiplayer. Now the multiplayer is 100% developed, so it's fully playable. We can do playtests, whatever. And now we are starting the single player missions. It would be kind of co-op, similar to Helldivers 2, but instead of bugs, it will be based more in giant robots and this retro Japanese stuff that it's really, really cool. You had the opportunity to see the game.
Put something on the screen now and people can be looking at it.
Of course, that's amazing. So yeah, basically, that's maybe the worst things that I mentioned to you that I can explain to you. So the COVID, the war, the technology decisions that because if you are in a point that you have a couple of, maybe one game that it's a cash cow, that allows you to make mistakes, okay, but if you don't have it, every mistake can be like like dying.
How did you get through that? Like, I can't imagine going through that twice, and then obviously you came out of it. How do you go through that? Like, as the CEO, you just wait, do you just go to bed, just like looking up at the sky, like So how do you get through such a big challenge?
In addition to the pills against anxiety, that's a joke, but no, being very resilience is the name in English. Very resilient. It's difficult to say for me. So you never give up. You know what I mean? It's like you need to fight for what you think that it's the best for you, and never think that this is the end. So this is like a tennis match. You never know that you can come back, like Rafa Nadal that sometimes did it in the past. So we have this spirit in Spain that we are fighters, So I guess it's kind of this AND or ADN that we have, that we never give up, and it's one of the keys to see, okay, and also, of course, working a lot, because to have a solution, maybe you need to talk with 100 people. I remember last time we signed a publisher, we talked with 103. I remember because it was an Excel with 103 lines, and I remember the 103 number. So from this 103, we did around 12 playtests, and from these 12 playtests, 2 companies were really in love with our prior game before Project ST, and one signed it. When we signed it, but to sign one, we had to talk with 103 and 10 months. Yeah, it's hard, of course, but as I always say, because sometimes people is not going to events, it's not going to meetups, it's not going, and for me it's like, okay, a lot of people is like, Ferran, how do you do that? Because it's incredible. You always sign blah blah blah, but it's like, hey guys, keep in mind, if you don't go, you haven't gone. So it's very easy. If you don't go, you doesn't gone, or you didn't go. So you didn't go. You need to go to the places, because when you go to a venue, when you go to a meetup, whatever, or you maybe can participate, doesn't matter what, but with the industry, things happen. You start conversations that drive you to another guy, and the magic starts. So this is, for me, one of the, if I can say, advice. I'm not an advisor, but if I can advise, is go and be, if you can, of course, with low budget if needed, but try to be where things are happening, because if not, you are out of the picture.
100%. I saw that so much happened in Dubai. the thing you mentioned there on low budget, it's really important. You don't need a crazy setup. Like you could get the cheapest of cheapest places nearby, just as long as it's close to the studio. And then the pass to these events aren't usually more than $100. Go there. And I had this, you had a different experience to me. I feel like you had back to back meetings a lot. I had a bit of both. So I had a couple days where I had back to back, but I got a lot out of just wandering, locking eyes with someone saying, hey, I do this. What do you do? And they might have not been someone who would have been my client or a partner, but they knew someone. That happened with us. Like we don't have much synergy apart from this amazing podcast that we're doing, but we've done introductions. So I can't second that enough. Like go into these events. The main cost for me is you could be spending that time doing something else, which is a very true cost. But the actual cost of being there and having the conversations, it, especially as a CEO, if you're looking for a publishing deal and you're not doing that, like I don't know what to tell you, because there's a lot of people looking for a project right now, a publishing project. And hearing you say it took 13, I believe you said, like I can't imagine the amount of hours this takes. Like that doesn't happen by accident. So it's literally just do more of the same, but you just actually have to keep going. Like you said, fight for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have a question. What do you think is the secret to developing a game that stands out in 2024 now? And I want to ask you about the book, Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. You have it in your LinkedIn profile. I wonder, how did that affect your game development process, if at all?
Yeah, this book, I read this book, I don't know, maybe.
Could you describe the book?
Ago.
Like, what is it about?
Yeah, the book talks about you need to be in the position of your client, your gamer, your player, the people that will play your game, and try to empathize with the experience that this guy will have. So don't make the user think too much. Make it easy. So I really love this book. It's a lot of about user interface, user experience. It's from theory, but also practical cases. So you learn a lot with this book, and this approach of easy to play and maybe hard to master. It's something that I really believe, because it's a way to make it easy for everybody to start playing. It's not only make it easy to play, but something that sometimes we forget is that when somebody plays in multiplayer games, most also single player, but most of this is for multiplayer. You need to find the ways for the people to feel that you are important. You know what I mean? So doesn't matter if it's doing something with your teammates, or maybe you are the medic of the team, but because you are not good in shooting, in a shooter. But thinking about, okay, how can we create the dopamine in the mind of all our users? For me, it's very important. And this kind of books also, there is a couple of them that we can talk about, but in this specific case, I recommend a lot for people that it's starting, let's say, because it gives you the basis for also talking with your game design team, art team, with some fundamentals. I used to be also a game designer at the very beginning of my career, and so game designers are, I guess it's like the drummers in a rock band, because it's special ones. It's sometimes it's not easy to deal with game designers, because they have a very clear pillars, and if you move these pillars, it's like, oh, everything is changing. It's shaking, and they are afraid, blah blah blah. But trying to answer your question also about what to do 2024. I don't know. You have seen this guy, Manor Lords, the build the building game about the feudal and the medieval stuff. So at the end of the day, this guy found an opportunity to use the engine to make something really nice for the eyes. That I used to work to this building games. I started with SimCity 30 years ago or something like this. It was very complex, and mm, artistically, the art side of these games, I used to play, I don't know, Settlers, a lot of these games, but was more, I don't know, cartoonish, not that realistic. Now, so this guy found a formula. So it's like, in my opinion, of course, I'm not God, but in my opinion, the secret is, okay, you need to find the opportunity, which is the mix of different maybe genres, but not only genres, but also technologies, art styles, blah, blah, blah. And with the mix, try to find, there is an opportunity to make a building game with an amazing art, because the mechanics are the same that you can find in other games. But this art approach, that it's stunning and it's amazing, and also the combat, that normally in this kind of games, it's not too much good. But this guy found this mix, and I don't know how much units he has sold, but
doing pretty good.
I guess more than 1 million.
For 26th of April, so it's not even been a full month yet on Steam, and 36,000 positive reviews. You can only imagine how many units that sold.
More than 1 million or maybe 2 million copies.
Not too bad.
For sure. He had 3 million in wishlist prior to launch the alpha. So first, making good decisions when it comes with the game, because sometimes we think that we have the best idea because it's my idea. No. Wait, share it with your team. Think about everything that could be wrong, not the positive things, but the wrong things. I don't know, the competitors, the difficult to make it, because a lot of games are not fruitful because the scope is too much. So the iron triangle, that it's about the budget, the quality, and the time. It's key to make decisions. If some of these it's not working, then wait and think more about the project before doing that. And another thing that for me it's key: don't make a single code line before validate the concept, because what is really, really expensive in game development is starting coding, because it has a lot of not only tech cost, but depth, that then if you have to change anything, it's crazy. So the architecture that you decide to do, for example, I will put you an example. In this game that we are developing right now, we did a big decision at the very beginning, and it was, okay, we will use Unreal 5 as an engine, but we will try to be as much agnostic and as much independent from the engine as we can. And for example, we did a lot of C++. All the technology regarding the multiplayer, so all the framework, the multiplayer framework, is done by us from zero. That's one of the reasons why we have been 2 years developing this game, because we decided these kind of things. But then, just an example, it's very high level, so there is a lot of technical details that we don't have time to talk about. But if the Unreal Engine decided, as they do time to time, to do an update, you can have a lot of problems, having refactors. Oh, we need to change this. The update has broken, I don't know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. If you are agnostic from the engine, you will have some problems always, but will be a minimum number of problems. So this is something that you learn by doing, by failing, by suffering, these kind of things, until the point that, okay, we can make better decisions. Always we'll have and we'll face new challenges, but at least try not to make the same mistakes that did in the past.
For sure. I love the point of combining the genres. I think like whenever you see all these games like Power World or Helldivers 2, it feels like they're combining things we love from different games and just executing. And last year anyway, like when I was doing recruitment, I was speaking to a lot of studios where it felt like I'm talking to someone making like another Vampire Survivors or another X, and they're just doing small tweaks. I think what you said, combining two very different games concepts and then executing, that's where kind of the passion is. And I wanted to ask you, like, do you feel like people in the gaming industry have kind of forgotten about the joy of what the game's going to do and they obsess too much about money? Like, why do you feel like we're where we are in the game industry now?
Game industry is very big. You know what I mean? I can be agree with you more in the mobile games, I guess, because I've seen top companies like thinking only and exclusively about metrics, and doesn't matter if the game is a piece of shit. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't matter if it makes money or if it has a good retention, and we can put ads there that are annoying, but people pay to turn off these ads. Or I don't know. I have huge respect for everybody, and to find a way to survive. We did incredible things to survive, and sometimes you need to prostitute a little bit your values to survive. I can understand that, but at some point, I agree with you that, or I can agree that sometimes we are forgetting why we do games. And I guess that why we do games is because we love games and we are gamers, and we want to offer to people sensations that we had in the past with other games. So this is the most rewarding things or thing that you can do making games, because I have a video that I don't know if I share it with you. We did a play test, and more than 1,000 people come to this play test. It was 4 or 5 months ago, and it was incredible because only taking a look to the people playing our game, having an incredible time, shaking hands like this. For me, it was like, okay, I can die now because I did, I did what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter if I don't find a publisher, investor, whatever. Doesn't matter. Of course, it's not true. We need to keep moving, But the feeling to do it, it's incredible. And I guess that if you are only thinking about money, at the end of the day, maybe you can do something that it's worthy for the money, for the business. But I guess that we are not here for the money, to be honest, at least in my case. Money will be a consequence of what we do. And maybe we can be successful or we can fail, of course. But it's not the goal itself, because then you will do things that will not motivate you. You will get into a very bad cycle that will end with you, I don't know, closing the company or something like this. People like me that we are suffering, let's say, having offers, because of course we have offers from the industry, but we decided not to take these offers because if it was about money, I could be, I don't know, in a big one getting 6 figures maybe. I had offers like this in the past, not recently, but in the past, So this is the I don't know. My wife gets mad when I have these kind of offers and I decline, because it's like, why not? You are always offering, blah blah blah. And I said, wait, this is a trip that we are doing with everybody. We are 26 people. Everybody is focused on that, and we share a vision. So this is something that when you wake up every morning, it's a huge motivation, And maybe working for a big corp, it's not what what we like. I guess that most of the people with small mid companies, we share this, the passion for what we do, and not the money as the driver.
I think it connects to what you said earlier when it comes to like having the fight. The games that I see doing a lot of success, and I used to work with Arrowhead, who made Helldivers 2 when I was doing recruitment, and that was during the start. Like they too had to survive, and they were very nimble, but the CEO and had quite a lot of control over the creative vision and just wanted to make sure like the game was good and did not sacrifice that. I think you need that if you want to have the asterisk is if you want to have long-term success. Yes, you could probably get away with short-term success, but with long-term success, you need the reason to keep going. You had the reason to keep going because joy was, or like you're bringing, like hearing you say about the 1,000 people playtest and, oh, I can die happily now. That's the fuel that will help you get through those hard times.
Yeah, the thing here is that there is a very, how to say, it's a kind of red line that you need to be very careful, because in this obsession to improve the game and to keep, improving, no, not yet, but every month you are burning money. You must pay your employees, so every time you have less money, less, and the game is improving. At some point it's improving really slowly, so at some point you need to make decisions. One decision could be, guys, we know that we can improve the game, and improving the game is a good way to launch and to explode and to make a lot of money. Okay, good. Okay, we can try to do that, but the lifetime of the company will be, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months, and then we get out of money. So it will be one shot. Are all agree that we go for that and that it will be one shot? Are we agree with that? If we agree with that, okay, let's go. But in my opinion, what we did in the past was, okay, wait, this is the situation, we need to improve, but we have 6 months of runaway in the bank. What can we do? Okay, what we decided in the past and worked well for us was, okay, let's try to start some side project, maybe a little or a small work for hire. This is bad for the main project. Why? Because if you are 26 people and you need to move 6 or 10 to these side projects, then the speed of the main project is affected, but at the same time you are making money and you are demonstrating to future investors or publishers that you are capable to survive and to make money. You cannot have a company, a video games company, and after 6 years not having incomes because it means that you have been living only from the investors' money, and this is crazy. You know what I mean? We have been living these 7 years, but we did more than 5 million in revenues from work for hire, other projects, blah blah blah. But it's very important. On the other side, you have another decision that it's okay. Let's reduce the team as much as we can. It means layoffs. It means a loss of motivation for all the people. Doesn't matter if they stay in the company, but the global atmosphere, it's bad because you did, I don't know, 20 layoffs, and everything changes. And wait, what happens now? Okay, we are 8 people. Let's figure out. And we can keep not 4, but 1 year because we are less people. Good. And we keep improving the game. But then what happens? This is very frustrating because then a publisher or investor come to you and they say, oh, but you are only 8 people. You cannot handle it. It's impossible. Bye-bye. So then you need to find the balance between a team that it's enough for the publishers and the investors to think that, okay, with this team, maybe growing, I don't know, 5, 6 people more, it's enough. but keeping this team with you has a cost, and it's really really difficult, industry to try to compete with these big USA and Chinese companies. But
Yeah.
here we are.
Hey, we're doing it. I can see it. It's happening. And I think, yeah, like you said, it's a fine balance. There's no point making the perfect game if you never release it. Right. Before we close out, I want to ask you, because you're going to Nordic Game next week. You've been to Dubai recently. I write on LinkedIn. I live and breathe on LinkedIn. Like, how do you use LinkedIn, and how could other CEOs potentially use LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, 4 or 5 years ago, I was really comfortable with LinkedIn. These days, I'm not that much, because a lot of people is using LinkedIn like commercial spam. It's too much, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Uh, my personal use of LinkedIn is never try to do commercial contacts with LinkedIn, but I use LinkedIn once I met these people or this person, to keep talking with them, and also to recruit. Is a good way to recruit people, because when you have premium LinkedIn, you can go to the recruiter. It's quite nice when it comes to the filter, so you can filter a lot and fine tuning your search for talent. So this is the two ways I'm I'm using LinkedIn. But I don't know, sometimes I think that there is a space for another competitor that comes back to the original LinkedIn.
I'm curious here, Ferran. So
fundamentals.
the original LinkedIn vibe was the lack of the commercial spam. Is that the only thing? Because
For me, yes.
How many messages are you getting? Because if it's 20 or 30 a day.
No. It's not 20, but easily 5 or
Ferran,
6.
There's some people who
every
get
day.
30. You can do this.
Easily.
Just block. Bye-bye. Just see you later. You have to you treat it as...
yeah, but it's like, it's only 5 or 6, okay? But
effort, it takes time. Yeah, I'm with you.
No, and always it's the same, I've been listening about your company. It's incredible. And they don't know anything about the company, to be honest. I am not the typical guy that blah, 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 but at the end of the day, it's a typical commercial spam. So I don't know. It's the only thing that maybe can be a space for another more commercial, and maybe I can be there, and because then I know, okay, this is for commercial. But LinkedIn at the very beginning was more for professional contacts, to be in contact, now it's, for me, it's too much. But as you said, it's 6, 7, okay.
Yeah.
It's not silly.
You can't, yeah. I mean, because I work with CEOs, and like it can get a lot, but if you just treat it like a boom, 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 see you later, what am I here for? To connect. I feel like you still have that platform that you can do the networking with, because
yeah, no, sure. I'm doing that.
That's how we talk.
Of course. But I am the kind of guy that I like to answer everything, So I don't like to just pass or delete, or block. So I used to at least to answer and say, hey guys, this is not a good time, or this is something that we don't need, blah, blah. But sometimes the more annoying is that I answer and they answer again, trying to keep.
Okay, if I could tell you this one thing, it's
ahead.
like Hercules, where you cut the Hydra's head. So every reply averages 1.3 replies or something. There's a statistic for that. So it's never ending. One thing I would ask you, if you got 1,000 messages a day, would you still hold yourself accountable to replying to everyone? Logistically, you wouldn't, because you have a job. So if you wouldn't do it for that, why are you doing it for people who don't do the research? It's different if they did the research, right? So that'll be my thing. Like, not everyone is owed a reply, because, like you said, like you wouldn't do it to 1,000 people. So that's one thing. Amazing. So before we close out, is there anything you want to cover that you think we haven't covered? Any advice?
Maybe as advice more for indie developers starting, maybe a couple of things that sometimes we forget. Um, First, when you found your company, I understand sometimes people wants to make deals or companies with friends, but my my approach here is that, okay, try to find the people that it's the right people for the position better than friends, because and if it's the good people and the good person for the place and also it's a friend, that's incredible, that's amazing, that's the way to go. But sometimes I found it that, oh, I've created this with, I don't know, former university students because we were friends, but this is the best art director that you can have. No, there is another guy, so go for this guy and create a company, so don't, because then you are stuck. When you create a company, you have the shares and the rights and the IPs, and it's crazy. And then try to keep small, as smaller as you can, because good times will come, but also hard times will come. And sometimes we do good games, we start making money, and the first thing that we think is, okay, grow, 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 grow. No, wait. Of course, if your goal is to sell the company, maybe this is the way to do, and to grow like crazy. But then the better for you is to sell the company, because if hard times come, you have a lot of problems, because maybe you
it's
have
not even
100
theoretical.
people. Yeah.
We've seen it so much.
Yes, that's it. So there is other stuff, of course. We can be here talking a lot of time, but maybe the two more, for me, important things to have in mind, and iterate a lot and try to have a first game that makes some money. Okay, don't try to go and try to do the next Warzone or the next Call of Duty. Wait, because this is something that sometimes people asking me. So, why are you doing this project that it's indie project, but it's very ambitious, blah, blah. Well, because we did maybe 30 games before, and we failed with most of them, and we did successful games maybe a couple of times, but these two games has been the cash cow for making other stuff. You know what I mean? So it's little by little, and in this era, in these times, people wants everything like this, like TikTok stuff, or like YouTubers, so making a lot of money without having the time to consolidate the project. And it could be another maybe advice to try to be, uh, to do the things step by step, and don't worry, you will get your goals, but maybe not in 1 year, maybe 5, but you will be there.
The key is just to survive to actually do that. 1,000%.
Yeah, I think that at this moment, one of the keys is, because the state of the industry is what it is. If we compare the investment with 2021, 2023 has been reduced by 80%. So this is a lot. This is a lot, and still reducing. So everybody in the industry that has, I don't know, experience, everybody thinks that the companies that can survive 2024 in 2025 will again have a lot of opportunities. So it could be tough. It will not be easy to survive, but I encourage everybody to try to survive until 2025, because good things will happen next year. And of course, if we can close something 2024, don't wait for 2025. But yeah, it's a piece of advice.
I second that so much. Where can people go learn more about you and The Breach? Where do you want to send people?
To learn more, I guess maybe our webpage is the best place to go. You can put the URL or whatever available to the people. If you go to the website, you will see the team you will be able to take a look at some videos on the projects that we are working and also past projects. You will see the quality and the kind of products that we do, and also the team that at the end of the day is the most important. And yeah, we are placed in Barcelona. That also is a place that if somebody is considering to move internationally, it's an amazing place to be, because we do a lot of meetups. We support a lot early stage video game companies. So there are a lot of incubators, this kind of stuff. And something nice from Barcelona is that you have a good balance between talented people and cost. So having a team in Barcelona could be half of the price of having a team in London, and 10% of having a team in USA. So it's a good place to have talent with a control in the
1,000%. When I went to Barcelona, the amount of studios there and talent, the energy as well was a big thing that isn't spoken about that much. The energy and the fighting spirit, like you can feel it. And I think that definitely makes a difference. So yeah, that's thebreachstudios.com for everyone listening. So go check out, and you can check out Ferran Punti as well on LinkedIn. Ferran, thank you so much.
Thank you, and have a very nice week. I hope we can see you soon.